Well, it is over. China has lost. And not only have they lost this trade war with President Donald Trump and they don't even realize it yet, but they are also continuing to set back their entire nation by likely 20 years or more. This is a huge win for President Donald Trump and for America. My fellow American advocates and even my liberal viewers who by now must be so sick of being wrong all of the time. Welcome. When it came to the Trump tariffs and the announcement of Liberation Day, so many people were losing their minds on both sides of the aisle, insisting that consequences were coming as a result of these reciprocal tariffs, naming consequences like a recession, a stock market crash, America losing its trade allies, and even worse, those trade allies then going and running to China to trade with them. And also, we were apparently doomed and fated to see another Great Depression hit America once again. But yesterday, April 9th, proved once again that people honestly just largely either underestimate Donald Trump or just completely misunderstand him and fail to understand how he works and operates. Yesterday, April 9th, President Donald Trump shook the world and America once again, but this time in a strictly good way, announcing an increase of tariffs on China to 125% in response to their retaliation to America, raising theirs on us from 34% to 85%. It's getting pretty hectic, but in the same breath, he then went on to say he was announcing a 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs for all other countries because he got great results. Close to 80 other countries are now crawling back to America and begging Donald Trump and America for a better and fair trade deal. Important to note, he did say that he was leaving on the blanket 10% tariff on all these countries. So we are still generating tariff revenue from other countries, as well as now generating massive amounts of revenue from China in the form of 125% tariffs, all while kicking back and waiting for these other countries to come to us and give us a better deal. Now, of course, the liberals had a field day with this, or at least tried to. Everybody saw through it, stating that President Donald Trump, he caved. He caved. But those of us who have been paying attention to what's been going on and at least trying to understand what this whole tariff ordeal is all about can see right through that the liberal narrative of him caving is such nonsense. Because at the end of the day, Liberation Day was about rebalancing the power of trade and business across the globe. And truthfully, it was about rebalancing it all back to America's favor. And this is why in the video I made called Why Ben Shapiro is Wrong About the Trump Tariffs, I specifically stated that many people were getting lost in the details. The devil is in the details, they say, and people were hyper fixated on that, missing the big picture entirely. You see, President Donald Trump is not shy about his vision for America, and he's actually on record sharing that vision for America ever since Oprah 1988. I won't play the clip. It's going viral as it is. I'm sure you've seen it. If you haven't, go look it up. Trump talks about stuff then that he's literally doing now, especially when it comes to tariffs. But to summarize President Trump's feelings on all of this, in his own words, he is a proud American nationalist. America's the best. America comes first, and by default, Americans come first. And President Donald Trump is sick and tired of seeing America get the short end of the stick on deals. He blatantly calls it being ripped off. Ben Shapiro would disagree and say a trade deficit doesn't mean we're on the bad end of a deal. Yes and no. But when you understand that this is Trump's overall vision for America, the events that unfolded yesterday, April 9th, make complete sense. The Liberation Reciprocal Tariff Day plan was almost always guaranteed to succeed because pretty much every direction that things could have gone after implementing this plan guaranteed, or all but guaranteed at least, the success for President Donald Trump and America. Yes, the rest of the world could have decided to take a crazy turn and go down a very unpredictable route with all of this. But the chances of that happening were incredibly small, and go figure, it didn't play out that way. Instead, the way it all played out has been most favorable for America, the world now revealing that when it comes to the two economic superpowers, China versus America, most, if not all, at this point of the world would rather deal with America. As if that wasn't bad news enough for China, these 125% tariffs that have been slapped onto them because they're trying to play chicken with Trump over the tariff game is ruining China. For those of you who don't know, these 125% tariffs literally render China's exports to America unprofitable. And China largely depends on its exports to America's consumer marketplace. But if this tariff war maintains its current pace, China stands to lose upwards of $250 billion in U.S. exports annually, essentially 20% or more of their total export volume. Not to mention, these 125% tariffs spell even more bad news for China, because the cost of these tariffs are not going to be eaten by large corporations like Walmart or Amazon, for instance. As an example, a $100 Chinese product pre-tariff war would have likely generated right around a $20 profit margin. Now, thanks to President Trump and his 125% tariffs, that same $100 Chinese product is now $225. And the fear-mongering typical liberal talking point in all of this is that companies like Walmart and Amazon could just directly push that cost onto consumers. But that's not very popular. That's not a very good business decision. What's more than likely to happen, especially if this tariff war just keeps going on, is companies like Walmart and Amazon have access to the entire world. They will start outsourcing their products elsewhere, and they have a growing list of close to 80 countries who are becoming very trade-friendly with America. Because of all of this culminating all at once, China's economy is crashing right now. And the very Great Depression that the liberals swore was coming our way because of President Donald Trump's ruthless and reckless use of tariffs, well, it turns out that's flying right over America, and it's got its eyes set on swooping right down into China. And the Chinese yuan currency is also nosediving as well. This means that not only will China be getting absolutely screwed on the exporting front, as America continues to tariff them beyond what they can maintain to hold a profit, but now with a falling currency comes lower buying power for Chinese imports. Imports like oil and food. This will, of course, wind up fueling domestic Chinese inflation, which will wind up tightly squeezing Chinese citizens and China's society as a whole. The economic pressure that China is under right now is unreal. Because for those of you who don't know, not only are they being tariffed all of this now and in a trade war with America, who their economy largely depends on with their exports, but China is also equivalently where America was back in 2008 when everything crashed and went downhill. They're facing over there a massive property crisis. Take a look at this.
And joining me now is Gatestone Institute Senior Fellow and the author of Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America. Gordon Chang back with us. Gordon, great to see you. Your reaction to all that has taken place here. I don't know why Xi Jinping doesn't just pick up the phone and call President Trump and try to do a deal rather than back and forth with this retaliation.
Yeah. Picking up the phone and calling President Trump would be the economically rational thing to do. China absolutely needs to do that. But Xi Jinping has configured the Chinese political system so that only the most hostile answers are considered to be acceptable, which means he's boxed himself in. He can't do that, because if he does that, his Communist Party fellow leaders, they're going to criticize him. So right now, China's in a position where it can't do what it absolutely needs to do.
It seems to me that China's on its back heels right now. I mean, with all of these moves from President Trump, what do you think about the Chinese economy? What's the impact here?
Well, the Chinese economy is probably around zero. And we see from the price signals, it's in a deflationary spiral down, which is really inconsistent with 5.0% growth that they reported for last year. So this is coming at a time where China's having its 2008. In 2008, they didn't want to have a recession, so they overstimulated their economy. They've accumulated all this debt. They don't know what to do with it because this debt is internal, which means if you try to resolve it, local parties are going to get hurt. They don't have the political will to do that. They got their 2008. They got Trump on tariffs. They got deglobalization. This is all hitting China at the same time, and they have no answers to this in Beijing.
Yeah.
So essentially, China is screwed on all fronts. Domestically, they're falling apart. Their economy was already struggling. And now they're trying to play tariff chicken with President Donald Trump, and they're going to lose. They export to us an insane amount more than we export to them. I think it's 5 times more, and it might be even more than that. We will feel the effects of their tariffs a little bit. It's not going to be great, and the liberals are going to cry about it. But they're going to feel the effects of our tariffs, especially when it's 125%. I can't emphasize that enough. It ruins all profitability of their exports here. They're not profiting at all right now because of that. They're getting hammered. What we are witnessing right now is perhaps one of the most brilliant strategies unfolding and being played nearly perfectly. It's the art of the deal and it's the art of war, all being played at the same exact time.